Oh, that's right.
Okay,
You have a,
good morning and welcome to this special meeting of June 28, 2023. It's 9 a.m. It's a special meeting to approve some things and discussion action items, the budget and other things. So, welcome. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please stand with me as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We got amendments, approval of the agenda. Thank you, sir. The amendments?
give me one.
Okay, no problem.
John, I don't think so, but I just want to look at it one more time. All right, I think I'm good.
Okay,
I can make a motion
Okay.
to approve the agenda.
all right, got a motion and a second? Second. Thank you, sir. Any other further discussion? I don't think so. Hearing none, all in favor say yes?
Yes.
I say yes, motion carries 3-0. Public comments, we have one public comment, David Barnes. Actually says two comments, budget and camping ordinance.
Yeah, hi, David Barnes. I have no comment on the budget, but I did see the camping ordinance that was put out, yesterday, and I spoke to Rabia about it a little bit yesterday afternoon. One of the things that I see in there is that it's, the ordinance has to be what's considered to be objectively reasonable. And I see that we set a time limit of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which I think is fine during the summertime when sunset is 9 o'clock and it's still light out at 10 p.m. But I question the objectively reasonable part of once it becomes December, not allowing people to set up a camp or pitch tent till 10 p.m. when it's getting dark out at 4 or 4:30. I'd like to ask the board to reconsider the timing on everything and make it a half an hour after sunrise and a half an hour before sunset as the permissible timing on it. That I think would reach the level of objectively reasonable. I know that other people have done this as well. Every city and county in the state is putting this ordinances into place on this, and I'd prefer us not to be the ones who are the focus of the first lawsuit that gets filed, because we all know people are going to file lawsuits over this. So, I'd like to see us do something like that, changing the timing on it. And also, we've known about this for a year, and that over the past several years that I've come to commissioner meetings, I've often questioned the use of the emergency powers clause that allows us to do things immediately, and put it in with only one reading and basically not much public hearing. So I question whether this is something that really falls under the emergency clause, being that we've known that we needed to do this for a year. And those are my statements and questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Dave, I have one question for you.
Sure.
And it's just, we're having this in public, so you have unfettered access to all of us. Why do you wait until the day of a public meeting to bring something like this to your...
I didn't know. I didn't. I went last week. I saw you and Ted last week or two ago about this, and asked about it when I mentioned putting a fence up in the downstairs area. So it wasn't...
Right, but you didn't mention this as specific...
I hadn't seen this until then.
Until
last night when the packet came out, or Monday night when the packet came out.
So
I didn't see it, and I didn't have a chance to review this until yesterday.
Okay.
So, and as soon as I reviewed it, I did reach out. I
Okay.
called council's office as soon as I saw this yesterday. So,
About the actual timing?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. As soon as I saw this yesterday afternoon, as soon as I had a chance to read it, I did call council's office immediately and express my concerns about it.
And you just wanted to be publicly noted that you were making a concern about it?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd prefer it not to be put in and then have to be changed later if we can. It's not too late to change it now.
Okay.
So, thank you.
So I'll also address some of Dave's comments and
Should we wait till we get to that? This is-
either way,
yeah. I mean-
whatever you prefer, John. You're the chair, so whatever you prefer. But I do have some comments related to that.
Okay.
So I'm good either way.
Well, because it's the third thing on the discussion action
I'm
item.
good either way.
And
Whatever you'd like.
I know in the past, we've tried to let the public comment and then we discuss it in the,
However you want to proceed.
well, it's however all three of us would like, really.
You know what a stickler is. And John Herzog
I'm good.
is
We
for
can wait. We can wait.
following- No, I think that's a good idea. Let's wait and do it.
We
then.
can wait.
Okay.
It's fine.
Because it is the,
I'm just
we'll be
happy
there
that-
shortly.
I am happy that John is now taking the lead on that. That's great.
No, I'm good. We can wait.
Okay,
It's
all right.
good.
Thank you, guys. So, that was public comments, so now I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda unless there's well, I guess we approved the agenda, so we're pretty good with that. So look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right?
1 second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor say yes.
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 I say yes, motion carries 3-0. So the first discussion action item is, and much to our favor, we have a packet that shows us what to say in the request for a motion to approve Curry County. First one is A, approve the resolutions for Curry County Public Transit Service District budget for 2023, 2024. And in our packet, we have the requested motion, so, discussion or a motion on that, gentlemen, would be,
I'll move to approve the resolution adopting the 2023-2024 Curry County Public Transit Service District budget and resolution appropriating the 2023-2024 Curry County Public Transit Service District budget.
thank you,
And
sir.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
I say yes, motion carries 3-0. The second one is adoption, approve resolution for fiscal year 23-24 to approve the budget. And the requested motion is halfway down the page.
Also, Frank, you want to make a statement?
Sure.
Good morning. I'd like to draw attention to the fact that there was an error in the publication of the information for the budget. And I'll read the statement. I think you all have a copy of this. And it says, Board of Commissioners, under the authority of ORS 294.451, and in my role as budget officer, I wish to inform the board of an error in the publication of the notice of the budget hearing. The publication erroneously stated that a copy of the proposed budget was available in the county clerk's office. The proposed budget was available in the finance department.
I was made aware of this yesterday afternoon by Frank.
Okay.
And I looked at the notice, and, these are essentially scrivener's errors and relatively common in a process like this. But as I looked at the notice, it said that, the meeting, the budget meeting was referenced, and the actual street address for the entire notice was the annex
Okay.
street address. So I feel like it's an inconsequential error. Obviously, nobody went to the clerk's office and asked about it until yesterday afternoon, which I believe it was Commissioner Barnes that did that. Treasurer Barnes, and then I made sure that a copy of that budget was delivered to the clerk's office. So it is
Okay.
there now. And as far as I know, with regard to it being put on the website, I know that our finance office was having difficulty because they were having trouble installing Adobe because of the you may recall we had a cyber attack and crashed our entire system. And so I was a little surprised to be called out on the carpet on that. But just, that's a good example of why you really, requirements to put things on websites are only good to the extent that we can have a website or have access to it. And I know that's why we go out of our way and we do the separate publication in the newspaper and so forth, which was done. And generally, if there's an issue, you can come look at the budget. But anyway, we've addressed it, and glad to be made aware of it. And in the future, there was a little bit of a breakdown on how that was communicated in the newspaper, and I'm going to take I'll take some responsibility for that because I just let them do it because I should have overseen it. So I'll do that in the future.
Ted, do we need to do a correction in the newspaper?
No, we don't need
Okay.
to do it. We don't
Okay.
need to do it at this time.
Okay.
If we need to, if there's a material change to the budget itself,
Yep, yeah.
the way that you cure that is at your next scheduled meeting. Then the budget officer comes in and makes you aware of it, and then we can fix it at that point.
Okay.
Since we're operating in good faith and making the best of a series of bad situations, we'll move forward. And thanks, Frank, for letting me know about that as early as you could. And I always appreciate it when somebody comes in. If there's a legal question, when you come directly to the legal counsel, that's probably the way to go.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you, and I apologize for this mix-up in process.
Apology
So-
accepted.
We've had this discussion many times about the importance and value of following the law, and I just want to point out ORS Section 294.451, subsection 2.
You hit your
I
microphone.
think you shut off yourself.
Under subsection 2, says that the first regular scheduled meeting of the governing body of the municipal corporation that is held following the discovery of any publication error described in subsection 1A, C, or D of this section, a budget officer shall advise the governing body in writing of the error and shall correct the error by testimony before the governing body. So, Frank, I have a copy of what you read, and your testimony was complete, so appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, gentlemen, this is our chance to discuss the budget more. I just want to say, as part of the budget committee, thank you to Val Early and the volunteer budget committee, Val Early, Nick McNair, David Swanson.
Yep.
They hung right in there. We had
I'm
a,
impressed with all of them.
Yep.
I thought they did a great job.
they did, they hung right in there, had a bunch of meetings, and,
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for them.
Yep.
First time, and they put a lot of effort and work in, and just appreciate them being adaptable to the difficult circumstances.
I agree, Brad. So now is the time, and I'll entertain, unless we want to talk about it some more, the motion to approve this 23-24 budget.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution adopting the 2023-24 budget, adopt appropriations resolutions for 2023-24, and adopt resolution imposing property taxes for 2023-24.
All right. I'll second that. Any discussion?
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
I'm just second what you guys were saying. This is.
Well, you'd third it.
Third it. Of all the budgets that I've been a part of, this has been the most difficult, and honestly the least confident budget that I've ever passed. And we will be having regular supplemental budgets.
Yeah.
And Q1 will be a vital one when we have all of the reconciliations completed and true reflection of our numbers. So I just want to say, stay tuned, because the supplementals are going to be just as impactful as the budget resolution itself, I believe.
Stay tuned is a good, yeah.
Yep, they are, but you know what? We're gonna get through this and we're gonna find a solution. We're gonna get that done.
Yeah, I agree.
If there's no more discussion, I'll ask for all in favor, say yes.
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 I say yes, motion carries 3-0. So the third thing up is what Treasurer Barnes was talking about, and that's this adopting a county code prohibiting camping. And it was specific to timing, I think, or the dates, or not dates, but times.
Well, can we go backwards just a second?
Sure.
So I know this was a statewide directive, right, to create this policy by a certain time. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
It's subject to an Oregon, to a new statute, Oregon revised statute, which I would not take any action or start planning on until it was imposed on the county, which it was. Not a thing. I'm not a proponent of transferring public property to private use without compensation at any level.
Sure.
So it may be it's surprising that we have people in our county that in the administration of the county that are, but I wouldn't act or take any action on that planning to do that until I was forced to do so by the state, which that's where we are, right? That's why we held off as long as we could, and I'd held off longer if I could.
Okay.
And I want to take a little responsibility for holding off longer too, because I wanted to make sure that this ordinance reflected input from the community.
Okay.
But I also wanted to get input from other commissioners at County College. And so, as you know, we were there a couple weeks ago, and I took that opportunity to have several side conversations with many of them. And they actually sent me their proposed ordinances, which they're passing about the same time as we are. There are a couple that may have already imposed them, but I wanted to make sure that we were being fair and consistent with the ordinance. So that was really important. And again, I heard a lot about this in anticipation of it when I ran for office. It came up quite a bit in my campaign, and I've had this discussion with many community members since then. So I think this ordinance is a good reflection of what other counties are doing, and I think it's also a reflection of what the community is asking for.
Okay.
I know with regard to Treasurer Barnes's request that we modify this to reflect daylight and
dusk.
sunset. That's an approach that's taken in a lot of situations.
Yep.
I will say that in at least my time enforcing actual rules with actual people in the real world, at the port, I found that to be problematic because it's essentially a subjective determination, and so all of a sudden you can't enforce it. It's virtually impossible to say, well, when did it happen? You
want a
if there's gonna be
certain
law
time.
enforcement response. We do have a thing called a clock, Greenwich Mean Time. It'll give you a time. I would opt for that, so that, because the goal here is to protect the citizens of Curry County. That's why I'm working here, and I think that's why you guys are working here. The goal is to protect the citizens of Curry County, and also to protect the environs that they are used. They pay taxes to use. They pay taxes to have access to. So I would limit my cooperation with state law that's been imposed on our county to the detriment of our our citizens' access to real property is a, you know, basic fundamental right. I would limit our cooperation to the extent that I think that's what we've tried to do with this ordinance, because it's not always just all about the convenience of passersby that might want to avail themselves of county or other public resources. And also, there are other strictures within this ordinance that do protect our waterways and so forth, which I think is really important. I got to tell you that working with the road department, working with other agencies, the issues of unauthorized camping and unsupervised camping result in excessive cost cleanup for the taxpayers. That's who pays for it. So I would want to limit it. I think it's reasonable to limit it to the extent that we can.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting at college, the conversations that kind of spun off associated with this, in conjunction with the curriculum that we had in the last couple days of college, and that was surrounding addiction, mental health, that type of thing. And well, I certainly recognize that homeless issues are case-by-case issues, for sure. But there are a lot of factors that come into play, whether it's mental health or whether it's substance abuse, whether it's individuals that get themselves into a situation where they really aren't making quality decisions for themselves. And I found it interesting that the commissioners across the state were starting to kind of have a similar thought about the value and importance of accountability, and how that needs to start factoring into the equation of resolving some of the homeless issues that we have.
I agree.
And it was just interesting side conversation that really resulted in the discussing of this ordinance and similar ordinances across the state.
Well, I don't think anybody has cleaned up the Curry County annex camping site as much as I have.
Well, the state's,
And,
the state's approach isn't working.
yeah.
It's not working.
And it's
Yeah,
well, until we do something different, it's you know, and it's just right. It's a stone's throw from here, and
Yeah, so, you know, and I think, well, I'll just give my opinions. So the ordinance, I think that the direction of the state ordinance is basically a cry for, hey, Martin v. Boise spun a lot of people off, right?
Sure.
A lot of communities didn't know how to respond then, and they're saying, well, this is how we need to respond. And, you know, I want to make it clear, you know, it's not a violation or against the law to be homeless.
No.
And no one should be punished for that. However, when you desecrate the resources, leave trash behind, paraphernalia for kids to get into. I have a bucket at the city that I pull out during these discussions, full of needles that I had collected from Kidtown or various areas around there, and I'm not talking about a small bucket. And so it is a large issue. The one thing that I would ask Director Fitzgerald is once this is adopted, can it be adjusted?
Mm-hmm. We can always modify
Oh,
it. Yeah.
Okay, because I think the home run is we need to get our communities together, and we need to have a similar policy across the county, so that you can't just, you know, if we're going to have some levels of mutual aid, which we already do amongst our law enforcement agencies, right? We don't want a sheriff's officer that comes across the bridge and then has a different set of rules regarding this to try to enforce and try to keep all this in mind. So I think in the end, I think it would be really who of us to have some kind of a community meeting to discuss a solid direction
And
countywide.
I think that's a great idea. I think that efficient use of resources throughout every agency and municipality in the county, or even beyond that, would I think a rational approach to this issue would be to have, if you're gonna be availing yourself of resources because you're homeless in this county, then you should be on a registry.
Right.
So that we can coordinate and find out what resources, A, you're using, B, what you need to resolve the issue of using public resources that because of because of the choices that you have made, that you're now requiring the residents of Curry County to participate with you in. So I think that would be a great, we should definitely try to move in that direction.
Well, and then
voice.
on top of just this portion, then we can have a discussion and maybe possibly come to some agreements countywide with all of our law enforcement jurisdictions on how accountability will be measured, right? If it's consistent across the board, I think that's when we will, and we have individuals out there helping to try to provide the resources. Now, we are absolutely resource deficient in our community for services, whether it's housing, mental health, or addictions. We are resource deficient. And so, but being able to provide people the avenue, at least giving them the space to go where the avenue is to get those resources. And some who need, maybe they need job resources, and we can get them to WorkSource, or whatever the case may be. But having a consistent platform from Langlois to Winchuck, it will be, I think, the best approach.
I agree.
I agree with you, and I'm kind of going into this ordinance with the mindset that it's going to be adjusted as we move forward. It's new.
Yep.
We're going to be facing new challenges associated with it. So, my mindset is certainly open to be adaptable to the needs of everyone associated with the ordinance.
Well, in that case, I'm going to assume that, I know when I was at the City of Brookings, our stance was very similar to what Treasurer Barnes had mentioned, right? We had a sun-up, sundown rule, basically, that we enforced. And we enforce it every day. But having this as a potential alteration allows us to come into the meeting with a different vantage point to discuss, right? So it gives us a different option to look at when we do meet as a group and say, what's our best path forward?
Right.
We've tried this, we've done this,
How's it working? Yeah.
right? And we can discuss all those options and then create the path.
Yeah, the reason, for example, that my erring on the side of a hard time is because we do have limited resources. So in order to even address the problem and be able to somehow, if we're going to pass a law that we can't enforce, then what are we
Right,
doing?
right.
So there's having hard timelines is a thing that we can actually craft a plan that would allow us to look at the high risk areas where this is happening and limit the abuse of public property. But in order to do that, I mean, just my knee-jerk reaction is to try to do it in a way that I might be able to ask the Sheriff's Department and other agencies to participate in a way that we can schedule and so forth.
Right.
Otherwise, it's gonna be shifting, and it's gonna be a challenge. But we'll see how it works.
Also, sorry, when we discuss our communities, I think it's also pertinent to include the state with ODOT, which is, we want them to be a part of that conversation. Now, they're going to come in and say they have their own set of rules and they can't do this, that, and the other. But what I've learned through time is that you have to learn how to ask. And when there are situations, you have to learn how to report.
Mhm.
And then they get on it. You just don't complain.
Right.
Right? So, so communicating that out to the multiple jurisdictions, I think, on how to operate within ODOT's,
That's a good idea.
you know, as well, so.
All
And
right.
state parks,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and state parks.
this Boardman State
They're a
Park is huge, yeah.
huge, partner. So, if the board's okay, then, you know, after we move on this, I'll start talks on coordinating that meeting.
Yeah.
And convening one, you know, hopefully we'll run this for a few months, and maybe before the fall, right?
Yep.
Like in fall, like September, October, we can convene together and have some dialogue on how everybody's policies are working out.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, if we're done, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance adopting Article 6, Division 11 of Curry County Code regarding prohibited camping.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
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 I say yes, motion carries 3-0. Next up is number 6, elected official updates. We got one elected official, no update. Commissioner updates, Commissioner Brad Alcorn.
Yes. So yesterday, we all met with some folks relating to our business resources in our community. We met with WorkSource Oregon, Business Oregon, Regional Solutions Coordinator for the South Coast, and South Coast Development Council. It was kind of a meet and greet, but it was an interesting conversation. I know we all met with them separately, but it was nice to hear from them, and I'm sure they'll be back. So it was just interesting conversation, I thought, and good to meet with them, and I appreciate that. The other thing I wanna say, and I'm not gonna name this employee. I'm not gonna name who she is, but yesterday, you know, I had a need to do some research on some legal issues, and I needed some help doing it. And you know, this is an employee that, without hesitation, stays late, immediately starts working to solve a problem. And that's what we need right now. We need everyone here to be working towards solutions. And it was pretty motivating for me to see that. So I just appreciate her work, appreciate her work ethic, and she really is an example to what we need right now. We need everybody working towards
Agreed.
the common goal, the mission we have, which is funding. And anyway, I just appreciate that, and I hope we can see more of it.
Well, and can I jump on that real quick?
Sure.
Yes, and I would just add to your statement that we and electeds, right, need to be really focused on funding and the departments, right? And what's also I've seen is there's several department heads that are and some electeds that are really focused on providing good service. Now we owe it, right, to the people who are out there really searching for future answers in their departments to figure this budget out and find the funding solution to continue those services at current levels, right? So I think it also, you know, I just want to acknowledge some of the individuals who are out there making their departments and focused on their departments, their tasks, their job, their duties, their service, and not being distracted by other things.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
I'd also like to point out that we have some employees that are, no, I'm kidding. That we have some employees that actually, when you ask them, outside of their job description completely. They step up, and I gotta say, Miranda and Matt are
Yeah.
great examples
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
And I'm just proud to be working in the same building with them.
And
It's
Tad too, road
Tad,
department.
right. I mean, we got a lot of good people here. We got a lot of really good people, and they want to make this place. They want to make it work. And you're not gonna fail if you got a few of those people. You are gonna make it work.
Right. Good points.
Agreed. You got anything else?
Oh, sure. As you mentioned yesterday about that meeting, one of the big takeaways for me was the fact that the regional solutions has been re-implemented. That's an incredible resource for our community. Regional solutions has been a part of a lot of the productive things that have occurred in our county, and so just knowing that's back, and that individual is our direct line to the governor, and we need things that can be an extremely helpful resource.
Yeah, and I made a very clear request of her to ask the governor to come here,
Okay.
so we'll see.
But if you can get your regional solutions coordinator on site and working with you on a specific project, I have had extreme good fortune with that.
Yeah.
They are, and I would imagine that there are some that aren't as effective. I was able to work with a guy.
Alex.
No, this is back with the port. He's actually the port manager of Port Abandon now. But I'll tell you, he got down. He understood when we did the South Coast Ports Coalition. He understood what we wanted to get. He communicated that to not only the governor but also the legislature, and it was so effective. Couldn't have been more effective. And when you see somebody who knows their way around Salem and knows how to make stuff work. Because I don't claim to be that person, but when you see a person who can do that,
Yep.
that is a valuable asset.
Sure.
Agreed.
The other thing a couple of things. So this has been brought up. There's a lot of people out there. I don't know if you guys gotten any of these calls or emails, but looking for a county property contact person. Now, in terms of wanting to purchase potentially county properties, right? So from my understanding in looking into this, it's been generally the commissioner's office that they would go to find a listing of these properties. And then obviously if a sale is to be conducted, then it has to come before the Board of Commissioners and agreed upon a price, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But people are just looking for a list of properties, a list of county-owned properties. And so I think we need to identify who that point of contact is, because there was some confusion recently. They were sent to the assessor's office, and then they were sent to the sheriff's office, and then they're like, I just
Where do I
want
go?
to see a list of the properties. Is there any of that?
Let's have it be my office, and then just direct them there, because
Okay.
Rubia is always, she's always rooting through property records.
Yeah.
You gotta watch her. So, and so she'll be able to get that organized. She's got a pretty good idea of it right now, so we can get that together.
So my question to piggyback on that, Jay, is when we do, and Ted and I looked at a property a while back, just right close to us, that's between two, there's a house and then an empty lot, and the people want to buy it. But then if they do buy it from the county, where does that, I think right now the money would go to parks.
So how it works is it can go to parks. If it goes to parks, it goes to parks as the whole amount. If it goes to the general fund, it has to be divided back through the special districts based on your taxing percentages. So historically, I think the county has either traded properties for better properties, or potentially better properties at the time sought to ask better properties, or they've the proceeds have gone into the Parks Department.
And is there a way, General Counsel, to to get all that money just to, because we need it in the general fund.
I don't know, I'll look at it,
Okay.
I tend to think that well, we have to go pretty carefully, but I think, you know, one interesting thing is that if you are to put that into the parks, you can leverage it into an income vehicle, you know, I mean, so
A
that.
revenue generator.
Right, so that, I mean, I'm
To solely
not against
support that
idea,
department?
Yeah, where you,
Yeah.
where you would develop these parks, and, you know, the thing about making money on parks, you just have to work with them. I mean, they can be a real revenue generator.
Yep.
And that's it, but we can look at our options. I mean, the other thing is that, yeah, if the money's gonna go out to districts, I think we'd have to look at each particular case, you know? But like, for example, that little piece there, it certainly isn't doing us any good
Right.
to continue to own it. So we should definitely make a list and have those available for sale and, you know, figure out how we're gonna do that so we can get ourselves down to being lean and efficient to the extent, otherwise we're going down and having to maintain it, weed eat it, and that, like that particular one, we got.
Yeah, it's got some danger trees.
Yeah, you got trees and you got drainage issues. These are all things that it's great to not own a park.
Yeah, we got enough problems we don't need, yeah.
Second thing I wanted to bring up was, as Brad mentioned about county college, one of the big things that for me was a takeaway was a process that Marion County utilizes to have clear, more effective communication. And what they call it the BOCCAO meeting. So the Board of Commissioners County Administrative Officer. And they hold it once a week. And it's noticed. It's recorded by written minutes, which, you know, that anybody who does know that is all that's required by law is written minutes, not audio, not video. Although we do all three, the only thing required by law. Anyways, so they do written minutes, and it's really an opportunity for once a week to, you know, have a meeting with the county director, and or any other department heads that you asked to participate, or electeds, and you know, just discuss, you know, pertinent items, you know, upcoming events. It's really, the agenda is discussion,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
we oftentimes, all of our meetings are very pointed, right? Are very
Yeah.
right, and this is an opportunity for all of us to have some clear and concise communication, not necessarily decision, but discussion about county operations, you know, things of that nature, and I think it would be healthy for us to implement. You know, I felt like when I was thinking about it, it seemed like if we could do this, you know, essentially every Thursday morning, every Thursday, you know, or Thursday mid-afternoon, Thursday at 1:30, then we get a chance to debrief or go over questions that may have come up in the previous Wednesday meeting. We can discuss about how to move forward with certain things, in terms of, you know, maybe, you know, whatever the case may be. But it seemed like logically that would be a good time and a good date if this group is agreeable. And I know, you know, Ted, it'd be another thing to add on to your plate as far as meetings, but I think it's valuable.
Well, I spent some time talking with Marion County Commissioners about this specific issue, and they do it every week. They include their county administrator and their legal counsel in it. And one of the key takeaways I had was the commissioner was telling me that the county administrator and legal counsel are updating her about issues that are happening in the county that maybe she otherwise wouldn't know. So and it's an opportunity to have an open discussion and to help Ted prioritize the issues that this county is facing, especially in an environment where we face the IT situation we're in and the budget situation we're in. We know there's going to be supplemental budgets coming up. We know that we're going to have budget-related issues. So we need communication now more than ever. I think Thursday is a great day. I agree with you, Jay, and it's something that I want to start doing right away. I'd like to do it this week.
I'd rather not do it Thursday this week, but
That's
we can
tomorrow.
do it Friday.
Okay.
Let's do it Friday, and then we'll plan on Thursday going forward.
And the only issue I have with Thursdays is the fourth Thursday of every month I have a board, Coos Ferry Electric Board meeting.
What time is those?
Starts in the morning, so maybe on the fourth Thursday, we could do a little bit later.
I was thinking at 1:30.
You know,
in
sometimes
the
we're done,
afternoons.
sometimes we're not, so.
Okay.
Or maybe on the fourth, week we do it on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, or,
Do that too.
or a little later or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that. I like it.
Yeah. So let's do one this week.
Okay, we'll get it scheduled.
You're
Friday?
thinking Friday?
Friday, yeah,
Okay.
1 o'clock.
Okay, Friday.
Friday got that Curry Health Network.
I got a 2 o'clock. In Brookings.
Won't take that long. Yeah, okay.
Can we do it
11?
11?
11?
11, fine. You bet.
11 works better for me.
Perfect.
Okay.
Do it at the EOC
EOC or, you know.
or the
Herbage.
Herbage Room, either one.
Let's do EOC.
Okay.
Then we can, then we can get Rabia to
Yep.
limp on over. Take
Yeah,
notes.
she's glad.
Okay. And I was gonna, taking after Marion, seemed in terms of what to call the meeting, but I came up with the BOCDCO meeting, meaning the Board of Commissioners, Director of County Operations.
Sounds good to me.
I don't think it's a long enough acronym.
Anything else, Jay?
Then that was it. Thank you.
Brad?
That's all I got.
So I kind of passed on in a great update, gentlemen, but I got to tell you, I one-upped y'all. So Monday morning, when I came in, I saved an employee's life.
Oh, the mouse.
It was a mouse.
He's not an employee. And
Well, the mouse wasn't the employee,
Oh, okay.
but there was a mouse in the hallway, and Luke was kind of taking care of it. But when I kept walking, and the employee that met me at the door said, "If that mouse comes down here, I will die." And I said, I
Can't
don't,
have that.
I don't think there's ever been a mouse-human fatality. But when you look in a woman's eyes, sometimes you can tell that this is no joke. So I immediately got on it, killed the mouse. I had video proof. I got a picture. She hates mice so bad that she will not even look at the picture. She took my word for it. But anyway, great updates, gentlemen. But
yeah, nothing compares.
nothing
to that.
compares to
It's
saving
all-
a person's life
it's all-
from
it's
a
above
rodent.
and beyond.
From a rodent. Executive session, Ted.
Yes.
Okay, I got one. I got the
Can
script.
we
Take
do
a break?
a 5-minute?
Yeah.
We can take
um,
a 10-minute.
I just need 5 to grab all of my what I need for the executive session.
Yeah.
Well, since it's almost, should we just go till 10 o'clock?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll just start back at 10 o'clock even. How's that? Okay. 9 minutes.
10 o'clock.
So we're adjourning the
Recess.
regular session? Adjourning their special meeting?
Correct.
Well, do I need to read this real quick? Or-
Or
or prior,
You can. You
okay.
can read it, and then we'll go into
Curry
it.
County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602B, which allows the board to meet in executive session to consult with legal counsel to consider the dismissal or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent who does not request an open hearing. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about the subjects discussed during executive session, except to state the general subject of the session, as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. Thank you.
Wait, I have one, I'm sorry, I just got a
Okay.
clarification that I made a mistake. On the ordinance itself, the ordinance that we just.
The camping ordinance?
We need to read it.
Okay.
The entire ordinance.
Would you like to do that, or would you like me?
Love to do that.
Okay,
Which ordinance?
the camping?
The,
Camping ordinance?
The entire thing?
Yep.
The whereases? It's not that bad.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it has to be read in the record
Okay.
at some point. Don't we have to meet on it twice?
When we're doing, well, since we're not publishing, we have to read it, a lot, get it into place. All right, I will read it.
You have it?
I've got it, yeah. The matter of an ordinance adopting Article 6, Division 11 of County Code, camping regulations, whereas pursuant to ORS 195.500, and Oregon House Bill 3115, Curry County must develop and implement a policy that recognizes the social nature of the problem of homeless individuals camping on public property, and that any regulations enacted pursuant to such policy must be objectively reasonable, and whereas the county desires to establish regulations regarding authorized camping in the unincorporated areas of the county to allow for legal camping subject to supervision and regulation during reasonable time periods, and whereas because of the nature of the allowances made by local, state, and federal law, Curry County must set in place reasonable regulations to protect public resources that are the backbone of the county, such as water, wildlife, and transportation infrastructure. Now therefore, the Board of Curry County Commissioners hereby ordains as follows. Section 1, title, this ordinance shall be known as ordinance number, don't have it, and may be cited as ordinance adopting Article 6, Division 11 of Curry County Code regarding camping regulations. Section 2, authority. This ordinance is enacted pursuant to the authority of ORS 195.500 and any subsequent amendments thereto. Section 3, purpose. The purpose of this ordinance is to codify certain reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions in relation to any individual's ability to camp within the unincorporated areas of Curry County. Section 4, adoption. The provisions of this ordinance in the attached Article 4, Division 3, incorporated herein by reference, are herein adopted and shall be effective upon the date of this ordinance and shall remain in force and effect until otherwise ordained by the Board of Curry County Commissioners. Section 5, severance clause. If any section, subsection, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance or any part thereof is for any reason held to be unconstitutional, otherwise invalid, and such decision shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance or any part thereof. The legislative body hereby declares that it would have passed each section, subsection, subdivision, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase thereof, irrespective of the fact that any provision be declared unconstitutional or otherwise invalid. Emergency clause. Section 6. The Curry County Board of Commissioners deems the adoption of this ordinance to be necessary for the immediate preservation and protection of the public peace, health, safety, and general welfare of the county. Therefore, it is declared that an emergency exists, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Now I will read the
Bill?
let's see, actually, I'm looking for. I don't actually have the language for it. Do you have the language of our ordinance itself?
Well, that's the House bill.
Right, I don't have the House bill with me.
Okay.
Let's see. Section 1, as used in this section, city or county law does not include policies developed pursuant to ORS 203.077 or 203.079. Section B, A, keeping warm and dry means using measures necessary for an individual to survive outdoors given the environmental conditions. Keeping warm and dry does not include any measure that involves fire or flame. Public property has the meaning given that term in ORS. Actually, I'm not going to read this because we actually have our own ordinance. I don't have a copy of the ordinance that we drew up.
That
Language
What you
itself.
just read, isn't that That's not the ordinance that you read a little bit ago?
No, I mean, yeah, I read the title itself, but I would like to read the actual, what we could do is I'll go get our actual ordinance.
We can do it
and
after-
When we open up at the break, I'll read the
Okay.
ordinance.
Yeah,
itself.
so we'll just adjourn, come back
Yeah.
into regular session, and then we'll go into executive session.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. We'll be back here at 10:05.
10:05. Thanks. Copy that.
All right, thank you. So, welcome back, and we have had been in executive session, and we direct staff to proceed as directed. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll move to adjourn this meeting.
All right, all in favor, stand up, shut off your microphones, and thank you.
Aye.